feel like every time that I sit down to film a TBR, I'm like, oh, I've overcommitted. I've like hardcore overcommitted. And this is especially true for the month of December because I have surpassed my Goodreads goal of reading 2 books a week, so 104 books in a year. I'm currently at 106 books, and December starts tomorrow, so I have a freebie month to read nothing. That's not going to happen. To read as many books as I can is actually what's going to happen. So, of course, I just impulsively borrowed a bunch of stuff from the library and still have some colds that are probably going to come through. I might also have a cold. I feel a little congested. I don't know how much you can hear it, but I have some colds and I have some holds. First, let's check in with what I'm currently reading as November closes off and what I will be going into December with. The first is Paul Tremblay's short story collection, Growing Things and Other Stories. I wanted to read this in October, didn't get around to it because, again, I overcommitted, but I have been really, really enjoying these. So Paul Tremblay is a writer that I discovered this year, and I didn't realize how much I would enjoy his writing style. I've been so pleasantly surprised. And his short stories build so much like creepy atmosphere. There's one that really reminds me of one of my favorite video games ever, like the Rusty Lake series. It's a series of point and click, like escapee room type video games with that follow like a creepy family. And there's a lot of people, like humans with animal heads and cult imagery. And he has a story that really, really put me in that mindset. I enjoyed that a lot. I have no idea what some of the other stories are going to be. The titular one is the first one, and it is the story that was featured in his novel, A Head Full of Ghosts, which is one of my favorite novels that I've read this year so far. We'll see where it'll rank among all the others, but it was really, really good. And there's 2 other stories, I think, in this collection that follow those characters. I haven't gotten to those yet, but I'm really, really looking forward to reading that. That's my before bed book right now, and usually I can get through a story or 2 before falling asleep, so I'm just taking it nice and slow, really loving it. I'm reading another collection of horror short stories because that's just the vibe. It's really because this came in from the library and it came in on audio, and as I have mentioned or will mention in a vlog, I have started running. And by that I mean I run, then walk, then run, then walk, then run, then walk on the treadmill at the gym not too far from my place. And I have been listening to audiobooks while on the treadmill, which has been surprisingly motivating. So the audiobook I'm listening to is 19 Claws and a Blackbird. This is a series of short stories by the author of Tender is the Flesh. Tender is the Flesh is this like speculative fiction telling where all the animals that we usually eat go extinct, and instead we start farming humans for meat. It's a very, very dark book, and the short stories here, there's 19 of them, they are similarly very dark. I've only gotten about 10% through, but already there's been some questionable themes. I'd say some trigger warning worthy themes. I'm definitely happy that I'm listening to this on earbuds and not on a speaker, because otherwise I might scare the other people at the gym. Let's put it that way. Really enjoying this so far. I also finally started one of my highest anticipated reads of the year. Highest anticipated, honestly. The only reason I've been putting this off is because I know that I'll love it, and I am loving it so far, and just like it needed to be the right time so I could give it all the love and attention that it deserves, and that is A Tale for the Time Being. I loved The Book of Form and Emptiness by Ruth Ozeki, and in that one she just like inserted herself as a character, but only towards the end. In A Tale for the Time Being, she's just like, no, I am the main character. She takes autofiction to a totally different level, and I love it. So this book follows 15-year-old Naoko, who is a teenager in Japan and recently moved to Japan after growing up in the US. She's Japanese by heritage, but is struggling to sort of fit in there and is writing in a journal. And this journal is later found by our other main character, Ruth, who is reading it and who's invested in Naoko's life. And we don't know how this journal from Japan made its way to British Columbia the coast of British Columbia, where Ruth finds it on a beach in a Hello Kitty lunchbox wrapped in a bunch of bags with barnacles growing on it. It's great. It's great. So we get to read about Ruth reading the journal and also read the journal itself. The journal has little annotations like footnotes, but the footnotes become increasingly personal. It's so charming. I love good magical realism. I love this kind of charming stuff. I've been annotating it. I didn't want to go grab my copy. It's in the bedroom and I've already started annotating it, but this is like exactly my cup of tea. Can't wait to see where this is gonna go. Pretty hyped about it. Then lastly, I started, but only like barely started. I always mess up the English title. I like barely started reading This Way for the Gas, Ladies and Gentlemen. I couldn't find it in Polish for the longest time, and then I remembered audiobooks in other languages exist, and I found where to buy the audiobook in Polish. So now I'm considering reading it in English alongside listening to the Polish audiobook and comparing translations while I do that. That might be my project for this weekend, because this is a very short book. It's obviously, I'd say from the title you can infer, it's a real autobiographical account of the narrator's experiences in two of the most famous concentration camps. It's a book I've been trying to get my hands on for ages. It's very, very difficult to find. None of my libraries had it for the longest time, so I'm very grateful that I finally have it and that the hold has finally come through. So now's the time. And I'm additionally working towards my goal of reading not in English and in the other languages that I speak. So this perfectly transitions me to the other books that I have from the library, that I physically have from the library, and they're right behind you. They're right behind you. Let me go get one. This is Due in a Week, Smashed by Junji Ito. It's a series of short stories. It's a series of Junji Ito short stories, and this looks... Are these teeth? This is kind of funny because I saw the first Hellraiser movie for the very first time last weekend, and I was like, oh, the weird like throat throat person. You know, they're like there's Pinhead and then there's the other monsters. Well, not monsters. I forget what they're called. You know who I'm talking about? The person with their throat ripped open. This is like the same thing. Is this just gonna be Hellraiser? I can get behind that. I actually really enjoyed the first movie. I'd never seen it. My partner's a pretty big fan, and he said that the second movie's way better. Let me know what you think of Hellraiser, and let me know what you think of Junji Ito, I guess. I don't know, it's good for the engagement. It's just, I just look forward to getting through more Junji Ito. I also have The Black Paradox coming in. I have my hold for that coming in probably like in a week or two. Like it says I'm next in line. So that's also technically on my TBR. I don't feel too stressed when I have manga on my TBR because they're such faster reads. Like, yes, it's a bit of a chunky boy, but this will take me like 2 hours, 3 hours, and not like 7. So I'm a little less stressed when I'm like, okay, whatever. It's a manga. I can handle that. What I am stressed about, it's also behind you. I haven't started this yet. It's Little Star. It's by the author of Let the Right One In, which is one of my favorite vampire stories ever. And I didn't think I'd be a fan of vampire stories, but that's what this year's been about. And I love his writing. It's so dark and Scandinavian and spooky and chilling, and I feel like this is going to be that. But this is also due, this like 500, 600 page tome, this brick. I also don't usually read hardback, so this really feels like a brick. This tome is due in like 10 days and I haven't started it. I should probably get on that. It's due at the same time as one more manga that's behind you. Ugh, why is it so heavy? It's The Drifting Classroom, which is a horror manga that I believe is a game of death. I really enjoy the genre. I loved Alice in Borderland, and I've been looking for other manga that's like Alice in Borderland because I read all the whole manga, I read the spin-offs, and I'm like, I need more. And so this was recommended to me. I forget where I saw that, but this was recommended to me. This like the first amalgamation my library has like 3 tomes of it. I don't know if that's the complete manga, but we'll see how far I get. The other one that's been recommended to me is Liar Game, which I've heard is a classic and pretty good. I'm not a big manga reader. Really not. I'm just kind of dipping my toes into the genre and enjoying the horror side the most, horror, psychological horror. If you know any that you think I would be interested in. I have otherwise read Blood on the Tracks, and I liked it. Otherwise, I've really just read Junji Ito's, because Junji Ito. You got it, right? So that's my physical library haul. I should pose for a thumbnail. Let's pose for a thumbnail. Alright, I've posed for a thumbnail. We did a team. So those were my current reads and my current physical library reads. Otherwise, I have a few other things from the library. I don't know if I'll get to them though, but I would like to. The next audiobook I have queued up is Migrations. I really didn't enjoy, like, I was severely disappointed by the other book of this author's that I read a while back, Once There Were Wolves. I say a while back, I read it like 2 months ago. And I was so disappointed, but a few of you have told me that Migrations is still good and that it's worth trying, and the sun's extra bright, and I tried like moving the camera around, and we might go back to the regular angle. Let's go back to the regular angle. Hi. I'll tell you, what was I talking about? Migrations. Several of you said in the comments that it's still worth reading and it's still pretty good, even if I didn't like Once There Were Wolves. So I'm trusting you. I'm giving you a chance. And I'm trusting the book. Because I think Once There Were Wolves had so much potential that I could see another book by this author being very, very good. It's also like climate fiction, right? And I love some good climate fiction. Otherwise, what do I have borrowed from the library? I did borrow Mooncakes. I know nothing about this other than the fact that it's supposed to be cozy. It's giving me like Legends and Lattes. It's giving me, I don't know, just like cozy, a little twee, 2 characters baking cakes for a nice small town. Maybe there's a little sous chef involved. Oh, I think my sous chef is coming. Hey, buddy. He's right off camera. Oh, Miso, say hi to everyone. Miso, say hello. Hello. He doesn't want to. You visited and now you're just a lump of a cat. He's just gone completely limp. Okay. So yeah, we're gonna read Mooncakes, which is apparently super cozy, and I also borrowed Summer Suns. And I don't remember anything about this book other than seeing some people who have similar tastes to mine really enjoying it, and me knowing it's a horror book. So let me motivate myself right now to read it. Thank you, Miso. I appreciate the tale. Andrew and Eddie did everything together. Best friends bonded more deeply than brothers, until Eddie left Andrew behind to start his graduate program and Vanderbilt. 6 months later, only days before Andrew was to join him in Nashville, Eddie dies of an apparent suicide. He leaves Andrew a horrible inheritance, a roommate he doesn't know, friends he never asked for, and a gruesome phantom with bleeding wrists that mutters for revenge. As Andrew searches for the truth of Eddie's death, he uncovers the lies and secrets left behind by the person he trusted most, discovering a family history soaked in blood and death. Whirling between the backstabbing academic world where Eddie spent his days and the circle of hot boys, fast cars, and hard drugs that ruled Eddie's nights, the walls Andrew has built against the world begin to crumble, letting in the phantoms that hunger for him. This looks so ridiculous. I'm looking forward to it so much. This immediately put me in mind of These Violent Delights, another like dark academia, obsessive friendship book. But it also has a tag of fantasy, so it seems like maybe the ghosts and such are real here. I like the cover that it has this like folky horror vibe to it. I'm really hoping that's going to deliver. I'm not expecting this to be a 5-star read or anything. I'm just expecting this to be a fun ride. And I really hope it will be. I did also film an end of year tag a couple of weeks ago that detailed some other books that I hope to get to before the end of the year. I will probably get to most of the ones mentioned in this video and pick at the ones in that video a little bit as well. And yeah, I'm just reminding myself that whatever happens, even if I don't finish all this by December, there's January. There is January. And January tends to be a really good reading month for me because I believe in the hibernation station. I have entered hibernation station already. And I hope you do too. I hope you stay really cozy and take good care of yourself and read some super duper good books soon. All right, bye.